little bit of technical challenge going on here. But we're going to do this thing. We've got some fabulous content for you guys, and we have Kathe Petchel on board for onboarding. Again, I can't let go of her, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, but we're happy to have you guys with us again. We've got 100+ people and have every month since we started this staffing conversation. We hear it every day. We know you guys are struggling with it, and we've been really happy with the level of content that we've been able to bring you guys. It's just been fabulous, and it's not just anecdotal stuff. It's really good concrete ways that you can better support your hiring needs, your where to go for staff. So we got started this year with what your staff cost structure should look like. That's a big one. I'm calling it the approaching tsunami, because what I see right now happening is that what you guys are having to pay for staff is far outpacing how you can increase tuition rates. So we're doing a big focus right now on helping you make your revenue base more solid with a combination of tuition rate increases, changes in discounting, and we've got some great ideas on those. So reach out if that's an issue with you with your cost structure, or go back to our website at hingebrokers.com and pick up that first webinar this year. Then we started rolling through the gamut of the process with staff. So we talked about, where do I go to find quality people? And I keep getting the question, you mean they're out there? Yes, they are out there. We just need to be sure that they're coming to us. So where do we go to find them? How do we compete with other industries, and how do we compete with other educational companies? Then how do we do the hiring process so that we are assured that we get the right person? And today we're talking about onboarding. This is going to be a 2-part masterclass. Today we're going to talk about the first 2 weeks of that employee's life in your company and what needs to happen to help determine their positive future in your company. And there was so much great stuff that we had to then send part 2 to next month. I can't let go of Kathe Petchel. She's here as our guest, and I'll bring her in just a minute. But here's what's on tap for today. We have I will get there. What am I tabbing, Carrie? How am I getting over there? Okay, I'm going to read while Carrie's doing that. Objectives for today. On our agenda, we want to talk about, I'm going to tell you guys about some opportunities going on at Hinge. We morphed ourselves into some greater training opportunities and one-on-one work this year because of the great demand from people who are struggling. And not everybody's struggling. Their occupancies are high, so people are doing really well there. And there are a lot of people that want to grow, so they want to know where they are now. They want to know what things they can do to be in better shape, and they want to know where they can be in the future, what the possibilities are, but in a real concrete way. So I'll tell you about those events. Kathy's going to talk to us a bit about an update on some industry. It's not just industry, some changes in labor law that we've been tracking, and I know you guys have too. She's got a couple of updates for us there. Kathy's, we're loving Kathy's book recommendation. So she has a new one for us. We got so much great feedback on the ones that she's presented so far this year. And I've enjoyed some as well. And several of you guys have said, keep it coming. So she has a new one for us. And then we're going to get into the meat of the staging process, the stages of a team member in the very beginning during the onboarding process, and what concrete things need to happen to keep that person engaged. So first of all, for me, here's what's going on at Hinge. So we have a couple of events coming up we want to tell you guys about. So now I'm going to see my agenda. Okay, so first of all, last year we started a 3-day conference we call Shift. Shift is a way to bring together business owners, investors in the education space, real estate investors, business investors, lenders, interesting things that are going on in the market, and new entrants coming into the market, and people who have been in it for a long time, and very creative opportunities. And we had a wonderful time at our first conference last year in San Diego, where it's coming up again in Austin in February. Registration will open August 1st, so look for that. We have also started in the past year, we've done 2 Thrive events so far. We got started in Nashville in November. We limit these events to 100 business owners. What we're doing in our Thrive workshops is working one-on-one and in small groups with people and teaching the concepts that relate to their financial situation and their business. And then we're helping each one create a benchmark that compares themselves with the average financially healthy company in the U.S. We had so much fun in our first 2 events. We are coming again in Boston, September 14th. Registrations are happening quickly for that. We will limit that to 100 again. We will also have a bit of fun, which we always try to do. If we're out there filling your brain space with financials, we try to have a bit of fun too. So we'll have a kickoff event the night before, and we're going to see the Red Sox the night of. You can get your Red Sox tickets also if you register for the workshop, and we have hired a trolley to come over and take us all over. So that will be a lot of fun. We hope you guys can join us. Reach out if you have any questions about that. The other thing that event morphed into is an expanded consulting services from our team. So we have started a couple of projects. We're trying to be very slow about this concept because we want to really dig deep with a business owner into their business and spend quality time with them and do a couple of projects this year. I think we have place for 2 more projects. If you're interested, reach out. But basically, this is a 3 to 5 member team from our group that will come out and visit with you. So we collect information about a business owner's objectives. We create a valuation for them. We analyze their real estate and their marketing and their operations to the extent that we can before we visit. And then we visit for a couple of days and we see a school or schools. We talk with team members and owners, and we come back and we create a comprehensive plan for that company on what things they can do and implement with our help to take their value from one place to another. And the ones we've done so far, it's just been amazing, with a couple of tweaks and things like pricing or marketing or branding. We have plans in place that will more than double in a short amount of time, a couple of years, their business value. And of course, the business value then parlays into the real estate value. So we're providing evaluation, we're analyzing systems, we're looking at marketing, and we're looking to provide a report that will be very concrete. One thing that has coming out of that for me is that, you know, when there are those times in your life where heaven just opens up and gives you a wonderful gift. Well, that happened to me in the way of Kathe Petchel, who is coming up now. And Kathe has agreed, after much prodding by me, to join our team as our operations and staffing specialists and help us lead some of these consulting projects, help us with some of our training, and help us help you be as strong as you can possibly be. So I am thrilled that Kathe is joining. Kathe is a business owner. She owns 3 schools in the Virginia market. Kathe, pop in here with me because I am going to give you the platform here because you are a resident expert. And Kathe will be talking to us for the next 30 minutes or so, 40 minutes on the topics on onboarding. And then we will take your questions. So as she's coming in here, on your panel bar, over to the right, toward the bottom, you should see a questions tab. You guys pop your questions in there as we go, and we will take those At the end, we're also monitoring as we go so we can be sure that we get all of your questions answered. If we have overflow questions, which we do regularly, we'll get those back out to you guys in email form. So, Kathe, do we have you here? Okay. Kathe, can you hear us? I see her popping in, I think. Kathe Petchel, can you unmute so we can hear you, and then you can get yourself in here with your lovely face when you can. Did we lose her?
She's trying.
She's trying. Okay. Let me get started with talking about some of her content while she's coming in. So, first of all, recent news on labor. Let's go to that. Okay. We have been watching the issue, as I know that you guys have, on having, do we have her? I'm sorry.
She's trying.
Okay. She can, I don't want to take her content because she's so excellent at it, if I don't have to.
She's gonna try to call in.
Okay. I'm not nearly as cute as Kathe, but I'll keep my face up here and we'll get Kathe in here so she can talk to you guys. I think she's having a computer problem. So I am today coming to you from South Carolina, and Kathe is in California, and technology is great when it's great. All right, I'm gonna back up just a little bit. I know you guys plugged in here to hear some onboarding conversation. I will talk to you about some of the financial pieces of staffing, because that's my area of expertise, and we'll get a little information going here before Kathe's able to come in. So let's expand. Gotta.
Turn this off. Turn this off. Kathe?
I got you. I got your voice. Thank you. Having
Oh my gosh. That's so stressful. Hi, everybody.
No stress, Kathe. No stress. Our friends are all here rooting for you and loving your content. So you just jump right in here and talk to us about what's happening from changes in labor law.
Perfect. Great. Hi, everybody. I have the cutest little shirt on today, and you can't see me, so I'll just try to be perky with my voice, because we do have some great content for today. Kathe, Molly's trying to get us back in. I don't know what the computer glitch is today, but anyway, I'm ready to go. So the first thing we're talking about, and can everyone see the slideshow, Kathe? Because I'm just using my notes now.
They can see it, yes.
Okay, perfect. So one of the newest things we've been following is the Department of Labor and their decision about the staffing salary versus overtime issue. One thing I do is follow their website and get alerts when they're making decisions that have to do with our labor costs. And so they're holding off until January 2019 to decide about that salary versus overtime issues. It relates a lot to multi-site owners and also people that are paying their directors under the 47,476 threshold. So it's just something we're really keeping a close eye on. And then second, Indeed, which most of us use Indeed at some level or another. A lot of people use Newton, and there's Workable and several other online strategies or websites. But Indeed is, kind of the industry leader for us. And one of the latest quotes and information is that, and I'll quote, "We're at a historically long stretch of job growth and no signs of slowing down. Workers are seeing more opportunities than in many years. Job switchers are tending to see bigger wage increases than those who stay in their job." And what that says to me for our industry is when we're keeping people for a long time at our schools and not giving them those raises and then bringing other people in from either other industries or other schools, we just want to be sure that the newbies coming in aren't paid more than like our good old worker bees that have been with us for many years. So I think that's really telling. And then the unemployment statistics, 6.7 million jobs in April 2018 versus 6.3 million people unemployed. So we're really looking at having to compete as well as we can, not just with our own industry, but other industries as well. And then the last, of course, the unemployment rate is historically low at a 3.8%, which was last month's number, compared to May 2009, for instance, which was almost triple that amount. So, so labor is everything to do with hiring, onboarding, retaining, training our staff. So we just want to keep watching labor. Would you like me to go into the June book recommendation? So
Yes, great.
Okay. Sorry, I can't see you. So the June book recommendation is one I've talked about before. It's called The Five Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace by Gary Chapman. And the reason I like that so much is it totally goes into the onboarding issue. We're working really hard to recruit staff and teachers and using all of our best practices and all of our all of our technological advantages, but also just once we get them in, getting to know them so that we can onboard them properly, knowing the little nuances and the special things about each of our staff members is super important. And so using the 5 languages of appreciation and getting really clear with the way new staff members want to be spoken with and want to be appreciated and engaged with is really important. So the 5 languages briefly would be acts of service. So that might be going into a classroom and maybe giving them an extra bathroom break or giving them a 5-minute breather when those toddlers are driving them a little crazy. Another one might be, oh, sorry, I think she's getting us in now.
Here I am. Hi, guys.
There you are, and you do have a job. We're glad to see you.
Sorry, that was tricky. So back to languages of appreciation, and so the first one would be an act of service. Another one would be quality time. Another one would, and so that would be just spending time with your staff and giving them that extra couple minutes a day that maybe you don't have time for. Another one would be gifts. That would just be like today or this week, we just did like little gift cards, little Starbucks gift cards for someone that stayed a little late for us. Another one is a touch, which in our business would be, you know, that hug or the good pat on the back. And then, and so just utilizing the 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace, super easy, quick read. And we love that book. So, so that would be my recommendation for this month. I will say I have another one that goes with it because I always like to overdo it, Kathy. And this one I like because it's super easy and readable. It's called Love 'Em or Lose 'Em. Whoops, this way. And it's just lots and lots of strategies, getting good people to stay. 26 engagement strategies for busy managers. We'll post this in the link later, but it's Beverly Kay and Sharon Jordan Evans. So this is another one we're doing. We're always trying to do anything we can to engage with our staff and appreciate them. And the other, like, quick show and tell. One thing we're doing right now at Bright Beginnings is this super cute hat. How cute is this? We try to do anything that has to do with So for onboarding, our core values, one of our core values is being wholesome, and another core value is being healthy. And so doing this as an onboarding or like one of the giveaways I do when I invite new staff in, it promotes them being outside because we have an outdoor classroom philosophy. It promotes sun protection because that's everything to do with our staff health. So when we do onboarding and when I'm presenting to you each month, I'm trying to give you something really practical you can take with you, or you can certainly call me or Molly Petchel, my daughter, who does all my promo items. This particular hat, again, we try to be wholesome and local. So we got this hat locally for $10 a hat, where a lot of the national companies would be more like $15. So I'll tag the local company and thank them for the hats and order, order hats or special onboarding items. So that's my other little giveaway takeaway for you guys today. But today's objectives, we're clarifying what your present pain is regarding your staff retention just by doing better onboarding. So we work really hard to attract and retain staff, but if we don't onboard and engage them right away, it's almost like that first grade classroom in the beginning of the school year, and you go in and you set the schedule and the stage for how you're going to teach, or your preschool classroom, or your baby room even, that you've got a system. That's what we're really trying to promote today. And then, and then we'll just introduce, there's so much good content on this. We're just going through the first maybe 7 to 9 days. So just to recap, and we've done this at Shift and Thrive, the stages of a team. And what I like to do is really get clear on, when you get a bunch of human beings together, especially when they're women, holy moly, you're creating a team, and it can be a little combustible. And it's like the tsunami Kathe talks about that happens with staffing. And so the one thing, this is kind of like a reminder about stages of a team. The first stage of a team, they're forming. And so this for a newbie and for onboarding, it's pre-start. I like to do like -2 weeks out, let's say, to the first 30 days. Everyone's getting engaged, everyone's forming. It's the honeymoon stage, and they're getting to know each other really well. Well, they're introducing themselves, and everyone is liking each other. The present staff members that are there feel a lot of relief because someone new is joining the team, and the new person feels really excited they found a home. The next stage is usually 30 to 60 days. So the first, and I'm not doing our calendar month, I'm doing 30 to 60 actual work days. So it's really more than the 2-month period. We start to storm. All the little flaws come out. The person's late. The person wears too strong a perfume. Maybe they raise their voice a little bit and you don't like the way they're raising their voice. All the things that are either coachable or trainable are starting to show up, and also things that might be character or ethical issues start to show up. So we've got the storming stage. That's a really important stage for owners and directors to keep track of, because it's kind of make or break it then. And then after about 3 months of actual, like 5 days a week working, we start to norm. We normalize, and we realize that we kind of have a reality check, and we're better off together than not together usually by this stage, and we're ready to go to the 4th stage, which is performing. And usually I find, and a lot of studies bear this out, that after 90 days, if you make it with them for 90 days, you have a really good chance of keeping them a really long time. The first 90 days are the most important, and we talk about this also for enrollment in our marketing strategies, but today we're talking about it for staffing. So just to remind about the new concept we talked about last month, and you just get really clear on numbers when you work with Hinge, and I'm so excited to be part of the consulting team, by the way, can't wait. But it costs between $5,000 and $8,000 a person to replace someone. And you think about how painful it is when we replace someone. It's, an emotional toll on you, certainly on the kids, which everything should always go back to what's best for the children. Of course, the parents get all up in the Kool-Aid when somebody leaves, and they wonder what's wrong with the program, or did the teacher do something really horrible to the child? Of course, probably not. So we're really wanting to drill down how much it costs to replace someone, and are you better off, even if you're in a storming stage, or even if you're having some trouble with a staff member, to coach them up rather than let them leave. and again, we just want to quantify that. One of our future on-site events, or well, either consulting or live events, will dig really deep into this and come up with a strategy with an actual plan of how you can quantify it using dollar to dollar. How much money is it worth for you to keep someone? And I'm saying to you, I think it's about $1,000 a person. You think, I'd rather spend $1,000 to keep someone than 5 to 8 to lose them. So we're going to go really deep on that in another session, and certainly when we go live at our live events. So step one is getting really clear on what your turnover is. I love this one, and I just have a simple Excel worksheet when I do payroll every month, because I try to be really clear on what my costs are for labor. When I do payroll, if I've had someone leave, I'm very clear on my Excel sheet, how long they were here, why they left, well, why they said they left, then what happened in the exit interview, and also what the director's comments were, so that we're looking at the exact turnover trends. And if you break it out by month, you see the trend, and it's just one of those time and consistency, sort of like money in the bank in your savings account. If you track this trend every single payroll and every single month, all of a sudden you'll have a big aha, and you'll say, oh my gosh, in the summer I have a lot of people leave, or certain times of the year. So again, step 3 would be decide your bottom line budget number that you want to spend on improving turnover. And one of mine was a lot more promo items, like I showed you the hat. That's just one, like, it's easy peasy, fun stuff. I love this slide. So I said we had 3, but I'm giving you 4. This is awesome. This is out of, well, number 4 is from me, but the first 3 are from Forbes magazine. So can you guess the 3 predictable milestone moments when your staff will quit? And it's based on research, guys, which I love research. So number 1 is a milestone birthday, if they're turning 40 or 50. But I'd now also include 21-year-olds and 30-year-olds because of the millennials. And so the reason for this is pretty obvious. A milestone birthday means usually you're reassessing your life. You're thinking, where am I at 21? Maybe I want to go back to school. Or I'm at 30, maybe time to start a family. Maybe time to move out of my parents' house. 40 or 50, again, big milestones, particularly 50. A lot of times people are starting to be empty nesters. We talked about boomers last month, and we said that so many boomers are retiring every single day, and will be till, I think it was 2034. I think it's 10,000 boomers retire every day until 2034. So what that tells me is, for those 50-year-old milestone birthdays, they're looking possibly for other jobs. Flip it the other way, and instead of worrying about losing your 50-year-olds, think, what 50-year-olds could I attract? When we go back again to losing a 50-year-old, what you want to do is make sure you're really acknowledging those milestones and appreciating them, doing the little gifts or the little birthday cards or the fun posts on Facebook or Facebook Live to let them know they have a home with you for a really long time. Number 2 is an upcoming class reunion. I think this is hilarious. Actually, I've never gone to a class reunion, but when people go to class reunions, they want to put their best foot forward. That's when they get their hair redone, they lose 10 or 15 pounds, and they want to be able to go and brag about where they are in their life compared to their peers from high school or college. And so upcoming class reunion, a lot of times people are looking to leave their job so they can kind of brag. So I think that's kind of a interesting, kind of sweet, bittersweet reason to leave a job. But when those big milestones are coming up, we want to be really appreciating everyone and you know, making this is a really good time in terms of staffing to give them more positions and to see how else you can grow their career. Third one is a yearly work anniversary. I think in our industry, we're really good at that. We're doing a lot of posting on Facebook about their anniversary. And hey, if you see Miss So-and-so today, thank her for 5 years with our school. But my last one, which is anecdotal from me and my personal life of 35 years of this business, right after a vacation or right after a holiday. That's because they've been home with their family. They're having a little bit of downtime to think about their life and think about maybe changes they want to make. Maybe, especially if they've been with their family, they think, oh, maybe I should stay home with my kids. My kids are growing up and I don't have as much time with them. This is a really good time for us to shore up relationships with our staff and maybe be a little bit more flexible about maybe time off, or maybe they can go to those plays, or yeah, they need an extra week in the summer so they can have time at the pool with their child. Those are the kind of things where sort of that 5 languages of appreciation really comes into play. So again, the forming stage, I call that pre-start to 30 days. It's vital to retain your staff, whether the position is management or classroom or facility. Make sure, so this is, again, the first couple days, and it's just like anyone, it's common sense, I think. If you're starting a new job, you wake up in the morning thinking, I can't wait to go to my new job. You want to learn, and it's the best time for learning to take place. So we want to make sure the new person feels as comfortable as possible as quickly as you can. So we're setting really clear expectations. Here's where we park. Here's what we wear. Here's what we do for lunch. Here's how you sign in and out. New employees want to learn and quickly contribute. So don't let them get into the bad habits. So all those little things really matter right now. And then leaving them a lot of time for questions and using good teaching techniques. So the question part would be, oh my gosh, for me and for lots of you, oh my gosh, how many times do you have to have the same question over and over? And it gets really frustrating. And you just have to kind of wake up in the morning and think, I'm onboarding this new person or this new group, and I've got to get really excited about it. And I've got to remember that it's their first time. It's not my first time. And so you want to be really careful to take your time and use good teaching. So good teaching, for instance, when you're teaching preschoolers, in your morning meeting, you might preview what we're doing for the day. You're going to teach what you did, what your content is for the day with a new staff member, and then you're going to review. And during the review part, lots of questions and answers. So really, some of this is just back to good teaching techniques that we need to have as directors and owners, and really almost discipline of slowing down and taking our time and letting everyone be very clear what you're teaching about. This is also the best time to introduce willing and able. This hits, and I've talked about this several other times, it's one of my favorite phrases, willing and able. It really hits, I start with, and we remember last month we talked about in the hiring process, I talk about it from the get-go in our staff initial interviewing. We start with willing and able right on our phone call. And then when we see them in person, and now we're on the onboarding piece and we're talking about willing and able. And basically, we're diapering. It's a diapering room. They're toddlers. Are you willing to diaper every day? Are you willing to document about the diapering? Are you able to? So the able part is that training part, and the willing part is they have a reality check that, there's going to be a bunch of dirty diapers every day. Same thing for a pre-K room. Are you willing and able to follow our curriculum or add to the curriculum in a meaningful way? So slowing down and making sure that they're really clear on the expectations. I try, if I do a group training like this, maybe 5 or 6 people, I try to kind of see the future by really listening to what they're saying. And many times I've coached someone out right at the initial onboarding meeting, and I just coach someone out just by their questions or by their attitude. Of course, I coach them out privately and very kindly, but after 6 or 8 hours with someone on an onboarding day, you get to know them, especially if you sit back, take your time and listen to them. You can tell a lot, and it saves a lot of heartache and pain if you can coach them out right in the beginning. So even though I'm saying use good teaching techniques, I'm also saying, use your common sense about keeping, determining if they're going to be a good fit for your program. So pre-start, -2 weeks. So pre-start is usually they'll give a 2-week notice to their other job. Maybe they'll give a little bit more, but I'm going to grab them right away. All of this is paid time. You want to be really careful that you follow all the Department of Labor regulations. You're going to do all your paperwork for HR for your school, and then anything licensing requires, which whether it's fingerprinting or your child protective services, your TB tests, all of that, that's going to happen before they start. What we want to caution against is bringing staff members in and starting them, throw them in a room, and then they don't know what the expectations are. Total recipe for just losing them immediately. Obviously, a job description, you've probably gone over that at the interview stage, but now we're on pre-start. And again, my onboarding starts as soon as they accept the position. I'm engaging with them right away. So they've got a job description. They know in general what their hours are and in general what their responsibilities are. I love this one. My directors will say, oh, you're starting at such and such location. You'll be in the baby room. Your hours will be probably 8 to 4, maybe 8 to 5 with an hour break. And so they think they own the hours. No, you want to be really clear that we work when the children need us and when the families need us. So Some days you might be asked to come in a little early. Other days you might be asked to stay a little late. You could possibly be asked to take a longer break. It's all to do with maintaining ratios, maintaining quality care for the children, and also quality customer care for the parents. We want to make sure that we've got our staff available to have those really important conversations with parents. So general hours, I'm always really clear that in general, this is what we're expecting that we'll need you for, but you don't own your hours any more than you actually own your classroom. If I have two extra classrooms of toddlers perhaps, or an extra several children that I've enrolled, I might be bumping you to a toddler room. I understand you really like 3s, but possibly we work with what the children and the families need. Career ladder introduction. I love career ladders. A shout out to Andrea Brown and Carol Gatewood at the Learning Tree in Michigan. They totally rock this. They are the stars on it. Generally, every quarter, you're going to meet with your staff and try to help them grow their careers, because we're all about working with our staff. Again, back to 5 languages of appreciation. What can they bring into the program, and what can they leave your program whenever they leave? What can they leave with that you've made an impact on them and their life? And so using 5 languages of appreciation and then a really good career ladder, I think is an absolute recipe for success. So we have a career ladder at Bright Beginnings, and it's about 4 pages, and we talked about it last month, but this is when I'm introducing it in the first couple weeks. I'm saying you're going to do all your training, you're going to do all your onboarding, we'll put you in a classroom, and then every quarter we're going to talk to you about how it's going and what training, further training you need, and what your hopes and wishes and dreams are, which is so important. It's right out of our responsive classroom philosophy, which is for children, but I do it with my teachers too. And one of my directors, one of my happy moments about 2 weeks ago was when I was in Charlottesville, and my fabulous director, actually she's a regional now because she got a promotion, Miss Allison, the first thing she wanted to tell me, nothing about all the nonsense that happened when I was in California, or how many more kids they enrolled. She wanted to show me her new car, because one of her wishes, hopes, and dreams, and one of her career ladder goals was, I want to save enough money to buy a new car. So I got to go ride in her new car. Those are really good examples of really caring about your staff and really, really loving them so you're not losing them. So shout out to Miss Allison. And then they'll be visiting on pre-start. They're going to be at the sites, of course, to be for observation and or auditioning, depending on what your state allows. Some states won't allow anything to happen, even setting foot in a classroom, till fingerprinting is finished and back, so you have to follow all that. And then obviously online training is an awesome way to get them trained up before they even start. Again, this is minus 2 weeks. Checking in, if you hire them and you set them on their own with maybe some online training, check in with them to build that relationship and make sure that they're really ready to start. This has happened to all of us. Once in a while we make a hire and we think we're all set for that 3-year-old teacher, and they're going to start in August. Let's say it's June right now and they're going to start in August. Don't leave them hanging. Make sure you're engaging with them every week or 2. Can't wait for you to start. Want to come in the room? Hey, what can I buy for you for the room? What kind of curriculum things do you need? How can I help get you assimilated to our program? So now we're on the first 2 days, orientation and onboarding. So the first 2 days, I'm assuming they've come in and they have all their paperwork completed. You've got all their training certificates and their file is perfect. It's the best thing. Of course, it helps them feel confident, but it also helps all their coworkers. Hey, they've had all that, for instance, Texas A&M training, or Penn State Extension Services does really good initial training for almost all the states, so that the staff members that they're working with, especially if they're newer to the field, the staff members know they've had some solid training before they even get in the classroom and work with a mentor. So you'll begin whatever orientation your licensing requires and your company requires, and then you'll do training modules on their own. So this is before they're in a classroom. I have about 50 training modules, and they do maybe about 10 to start before they come in a classroom. And it's the basics on how to speak with children and the basic requirements in our classroom, day-to-day requirements and such. And I love it in a small group, because then they can ask questions and it's much more comfortable than one of us training one-on-one. Even better and saving time would be to come up with some type of video, an iMovie type video, or some type of other video training. And I love doing a little test afterwards. That's super important. And then they'll get a mentor teacher and they'll shadow in the classroom. And then definitely the swag, the stuff we all get, the water bottle, a little emergency kit with candy, or just something fun, maybe water bottles, and a handwritten note. And that's when this summer we're doing the hats that I just showed you. Definitely order the name tag and the shirt. When they don't have the shirt or the name tag, they stand out from the rest of the staff and they feel kind of they're sticking out like a sore thumb. So we want to engage them right away and make them feel like, go team, you're part of us. And then I like to do the biography and a picture. Definitely if you're doing tadpoles or similar, so the other staff members recognize them, and also you're posting a biography about them on Facebook or sending it out through your tadpoles or similar system. And I also like to do it through CRM, or some of you use Constant Contact. So right away, parents know who they are and a little bit about them. So some of the onboarding is more administrative and some of it is more one-on-one with the new staff member. And then clarifying schedule again. I'm thinking you're going to be in this room. This is what you're going to be expected to do, and this is generally what your schedule will be. I'm seeing we're at 10 more minutes, so I'm going to keep flying through this, guys. They start their position. So this is day 3 to 7. They're actually in a classroom, and we're expecting them to work as a regular staff member, obviously with a reasonable, realistic expectation. We'll want them to lunch with their mentor teacher or director, or go out for coffee just to build that relationship. We want to do that right away. Hey, how's it going? How was your morning? Oh, little Jacob, he's a little bit of a pickle, isn't he? Oh, here's some things that work really well for me when Jacob was in my room. Those kind of things really make the new staff member feel understood right away. So then they're comfortable talking about, yeah, what do you do with Jacob? And then the written sign-out log. I love this. I came from a public school background, and so some of the systems I've adapted to Bright Beginnings, but we do a written sign-out log every single day, required for every staff member, and then our directors do a report every day, of course, as I'm sure all your directors do. But the sign-out log for the staff is a half-page front and back, and it's just basic questions. How was your day? I actually have them rate their day 1 to 10. I want to know, if your day is below a 7, I'm going to be talking to you or wanting the director to talk to you. Oh gosh, your day was a 5. What can I do to make it better for you tomorrow? How can I help you? And maybe they just had a headache and a migraine. Oh my gosh, I heard about the latest migraine medicine. I'm engaging with them and I'm caring about them. But a sign-out log also would say any accidents. I have something that I love. I made it up myself. It's called a 1-hour turnaround. And so if there's anything that really is, high urgent emergency type situation, my staff have 1 hour to get it solved or to attempt to solve it. So say there's a repeated biter in a room, and this is a new staff member. A 1-hour turnaround would be making sure the director knows and the relevant staff know about the biting situation so that we're letting the parent know right away. In that situation, it wouldn't even be 1 hour. But you get the idea that letting a new staff member know what are the most important things that they should report right away, and what are the things that can wait. I'm out of soap, can't wait, because that's a reg. A child got hurt, can't wait. I need more red paint, can kind of wait. So I'm really trying to clarify that day to day with new staff members. And then then they're participating in a staff meeting, and try to do like a fun icebreaker. And you guys are rock stars on icebreakers. Oh my gosh, when I'm reading websites and just different blogs, we kill it with that. We're really good. And then I like to give them responsibility. Maybe they start with making sure the parking lot looks great, or making sure the coffee station is stocked in the morning, and then they get later into, you're in charge of Scholastic books, woohoo, because you know all about literature. I need you to help me with Scholastic books. So really letting them feel a part of your team right away. And then day 7, and again, I got this, I think, from public school and just adapted it for Bright Beginnings. I do an initial conference form 4 times in the beginning of their time with me. So day 7, day 21, day 60, and day 90. And you can adapt that. But day 7, it follows with stages of teaming, guys. So day 7, they're forming. So it's honeymoon. They love everything. Thank you so much for my new hat. I love my class. Thanks for getting me that red paint. And it's all really happy. So, but as you go on, then the initial conference form tracks the stages of teaming. The next time you do it, there's going to be some questions because they've probably entered storming. So we'll talk about that later today and then next month. But again, this is super positive.
Kathe, all fabulous content. Thanks so much. You always have such great ideas, and we have some wonderful questions here. So
Awesome.
let's take some. We have about 10 minutes, so that's terrific. First question is, I can't wait for this one. Could you give us some examples of your positive methods and positive communication as you're coaching out? I love that phrase that you use all the time, coaching up or coaching out, but coaching out is difficult. We're typically a little annoyed and we're frustrated. So give us some language that we might use.
I love that question. So first of all, you've got to get really clear with yourself. And when I talk and coach people about this, I say 2 feet on the ground. You got to figure out what's best for the kids. So once you're clear on what's best for the kids and you're coaching someone out, and it's 2 scenarios. They might be coaching themselves out, and your gut is, oh, I want you to say, what can I do to make things better for you? Try to resist that, because if they've already made up their mind, and I would call that like a boomerang person. Sometimes I do it too, guys. I hire somebody, I'm sure they've changed. They're going to be so much better than when they left. And sometimes they are, and I talk about that, but sometimes they're not. So, but if I've identified somebody that needs to be coached out, I'm going to do all my due diligence first to make sure I'm not going to have to pay unemployment, first of all. So I'm going to make sure everything is documented and that they've had face-to-face time, followed up with writing about the infractions they've done. And it goes back to really good teaching, honestly. And I think at the core, we're all teachers. And so that goes back to that willing and able. So do you understand the expectations? You're willing to come to work on time. You're willing to stay that extra 15 minutes. Are you willing to use our proper call-out procedures, 2-hour advance notice for the director at Bright Beginnings? And so you get them to say yes, and then they're not able. So then I bring them in and I say, you're repeatedly coming to work a little bit late. It's a problem because obviously my ratios. It's a problem because other staff members have to cover for you. It's a problem because little Henry can't wait to see you, and he has so much trouble with drop-off in the morning. Help me understand what's going on. So I'm going to go through everything I can to make sure there's nothing else I could do. When I do this with my staff, I say, and it's 4 things, and I talked about Andrea Brown a little bit ago. It's 4 things, and I love this. And it's on one of our slides at some point. I go back and I look, have I hired the right person? Are they in the right seat in the bus? And so when I'm doing a coaching out, I'm thinking, maybe I need to put you in a different room. I might look back at my notes and see they really wanted babies. They're really struggling with chews. I mean, who doesn't struggle with chews? And it cracks me up. The parents are like, wow, the room's a little busy and chaotic. Oh my gosh, no kidding. So I'm really trying anything I can do. But let's say it really isn't working. I'm going to try to get them to come to that determination. I would pick 1 or 2 or 3 things, no more, because the last thing I want them to do is leave with their head between their, head just drooping and feeling super discouraged. Because first of all, I don't want them to feel bad about themselves. It's just not the fit. Second, I don't want them to talk bad about us or my program. So I'm going to try to let them leave with their head held high and feel really good about themselves. We've loved having you. Sounds like it's not a fit. Tell me if I'm wrong. And then they'll either say, no, it's really not. And so I said to this gal, adorable gal, Miss Heather, like 3 years ago, she's still with me. I said, I don't think it's working, Heather. I just, it's just not working. And she said, no, it's not working. And I said, let's come up with a plan for you to leave. Do you want to leave like in 2 weeks? Do you want to leave at the end of the summer? What's your plan? And once we got really clear about, and I can't remember what it was, her schedule or something kind of silly, she decided, holy moly, I really do like it here. The boss, in this case it was me, but you know, it can be the directors, of course, or their mentors, really cares to sit with me and say, you know, what can I do to help you? And you've been so great. How can I help you get the job you really want? Long answer, but it's super important question.
Yeah, it really is, because it's so hard to do that in a positive way. And you just touched on something that's another question, but when do you consider changing that person into a different position? I've seen, you know, so you're the expert on teachers, but also you can see a person really thrive in a management position that wasn't a teacher, the strongest teacher, or the other way around. What are your thoughts there?
Absolutely. I mean, that goes back to career ladder and growing people's careers. And so if you're getting together with them every quarter, you're tracking that. You're saying, you know, you did such a great job on Scholastic books. That's your job right now. And I see that, like, you have a green thumb. You're doing, like, those tomatoes are awesome. What, you know, I'm seeing you really like curriculum, or I'm seeing you really like, you know, managing people, or everyone comes to you at the end of the day for help with closing. I've got this gal right now, Miss Lauren. I hope she's on the webinar from Crozet. I absolutely love her. And every time I talk to her, I say, I've got my eye on you. You're going to management. You're not just directing. I got big plans for you. We're starting a school for you. And so really watching and knowing what's special about each person. And if they drop a hint on those daily sign-out logs, they might say, and they may come across really negative, the garden needs weeded. Well, that tells me you want to help weed the garden, or the garden needs weeded, we need to get the landscaper in. Depends.
Right.
And so I'm looking at the negatives from a staff and thinking, they're trying to engage me. They're trying to tell me something. Slow down and listen.
Okay, love that. I'll have another client with 20 plus schools who has made 100% of her growing decisions on people and who she had to put in place, because we all know how critical that is. So growing your people and having the right person to take advantage of a new opportunity is critical too, because when the opportunity comes, you act quickly or you lose it. So having a strong bench there is terrific. We have the question about, do you have a formula for tracking turnover?
Yes. Super important. So we talked about it, and we'll touch more on this next month in the webinar. We do have a slide for this. So of course you always want to know what your formula is, which is just that mathematical equation of how many W-2s you give out, sorry, W-4s you give out at the end of the year. No, W-2s, sorry, versus your number of full-time staff members. And you're just going to do that, you're going to divide and figure out what your turnover rate is. And so one of my big rocks using Traction this year is looking at our staff turnover. So that's the first formula you want to have. And then I look at the trends that we talked about earlier in this session, why are they leaving? Are they and what times what milestone times of their life are they leaving? And, you know, the 40-year-old birthday, the 50th birthday, I actually had a regional director leave me right after her 40th birthday, wanted to stay home with her kids. So really tracking that. So the formula, so it's really more watching your trend. No, the formula is what your turnover rate is, and then what is the trend for you? And that's that Excel sheet I do every month when I do payroll. Did anybody leave and why?
Love that. Give you a history of why people are leaving. I like this question a lot. Is there a time frame you want to use to release staff bios to parents? It seems like it takes at least 90 days for us to know a teacher is going to be a good fit in our program. Does it look bad to continue to give bios to parents? Do you wait a certain amount of time before you introduce that person?
Oh my gosh, great question. Whoever sent that one in, I love it. So this is important. It's a two-part answer. So the parents always want to be over communicated with, right? And it drives us crazy. We think we're in Groundhog Day every day, right? So, and rightly so, it's their kid. So I want to make sure they know who's with little darling every day. I use the Tadpoles app every day and just send out, and this is brand new. We just started doing this a couple weeks ago at Bright Beginnings, where we send out like a little daily update, and especially during summertime right now, vacation time. Miss Carrie is out for the next week. She's going to North Carolina to the Outer Banks. Hope she has so much fun with her family. She can't wait to go to the lighthouse. Miss So-and-so's subbing or Mr. So-and-so will be subbing. So same thing with the new staff. We just hired Mr. or Miss So-and-so. Can't wait. Here's a little bit about them. Of course, they're brand new. They're in training. They're doing onboarding. They're being mentored by Miss Margaret. Please give us feedback on how we can help make them feel part of the team. Or please take the time to get to know them. That way the parents know, because you're exactly right. They might not make it those 90 days. That we're all in this together. In fact, I try to get parents to help me interview as well, especially if it's one of those dicey positions, like the toddler room. You keep losing teachers in that room, or the 2-year-old room, right? Those tricky rooms, like there's always one in every building. I swear we need to just sage that room, but or just have good hiring practices. So that's a twofold answer, but yeah, absolutely. And then also when they leave, and parents go crazy if we don't do this, the minute we know it's not a fit, really nicely, gently saying to the parents, Mr. So-and-so didn't work out. He's, moved on. I never would ever say anything negative. I might say it's like a weird situation. Maybe they walked out without notice. I would call every parent in that case, or I would say, please see me, please see, the director for more information. And then I'm keeping it really, obviously I can't discuss personnel issues, but no, nothing happened with the children. Everyone's perfectly safe. It just wasn't a fit. So definitely let them know that too.
Love that. Good language. Do you mind if we just keep going for about 5 more minutes? Because
no, we can go. We owe them at least 20 minutes, Kath.
We'll be here all afternoon. We're a little late getting started, so let's give these people their money's worth.
Sure.
What do you think? Talk to us about traits that you would look for a person that you then trust to train your staff.
Super good question. We got such smart people on this today. So traits, that goes back to willing and able. And it goes back to your core values. So at Bright Beginnings, our core values would be nurturing, would be learning, family, communicate, trust. And so I'm looking at reflecting my core values. I should be living it every day, and everyone on my team should. So especially the trainer, because anytime you're having the trainer talk about anything, if you can go back to your core values and you go back to what's best for the kids, that trainer's not going to be so far off. So then they're training on how to do a tadpole's note to a parent, or kid reports, whatever method you use. And so we want to be really transparent, but we don't want to say something negative. Say little Johnny had a rough day. What is our philosophy on saying Johnny had a rough day? So if I've got my good trainer that knows we're trustworthy and we're honest, and Johnny had a horrible day, I might say, Johnny had a little rough day, please see me. I want to give you all, explain a little bit. No parent wants to come in and, they've been working all day, they're exhausted, they have to, do 5 errands on the way home, but they're picking up their kid to spend time with him or her. It wants to hear something negative. So my mentor teacher would be really clear that we're going to be positive, we're going to be proactive, we're going to not hit the mom or dad when they're coming in tired from work. And so again, they're reflecting my core values and they're reflecting our policy and procedures. And 2, this is kind of boring, but going back to making sure they have it all written too, because we go back to being good educators. How do they learn, these new teachers? And some of them are 20 years old. They're right out of high school. Maybe they haven't even gone to college yet, or just a little bit. And so are they auditory learners? Do they just want to hear me talk? And are they a do, watch, do kind of learner? So Miss Margaret is one of our mentor teachers in our crochet school. And so she's going to do, how do I do morning meeting or circle time? And you're going to watch. And now I'm going to watch while you do. She needs to have really good training methods that are, and be able to engage with that new person. And those are the people you're going to give a little bit or a lot more money to. Because, and even a lot of people do this, if the person makes it the 90-day probation, that mentor teacher who's really been their buddy might get, a little bonus or a little like sweatshirt. My guys all like the $35 sweatshirts, as a thank you. So good teaching practices is also really important. You don't want to have a mentor that doesn't want to have mentees.
Okay, like it. We have someone that has 35 teachers. They're the owner. They have 2 receptionists they're having a tough time finding an assistant director, what type of structure is needed that also focuses properly on a consistent basis on staff development? So maybe that's the same question. So having a hard time finding an assistant, but what kind of structure might also work with staff development? You mentioned mentor teachers. How might you work? Give us an example of a structure that would integrate all of that.
So if you're hiring an assistant director and they're wanting to have them be a part of the onboarding and training process? Is that what?
Maybe so. It sounds, actually this sounds two-part to me. So they have two receptionists. They're having a hard time finding the right assistant director and also have a question about a structure that would include training. So, you know, I don't know about you, I'll throw a thought out there and get you to piggyback on it. Typically, most of our clients will have the assistant director position complement the director's natural skills. So a lot of times you'll have a director strong in curriculum and focused on the staff, and then you'll have an assistant that's strong in record keeping and accounts receivable management and everything financial. I think also a trainer could be in various positions depending on the size of your company. They could also be your assistant director. They could be a strong lead teacher that also mentors. So to me, it flows a lot with the qualifications of the person in that position. But talk to us a little bit about that. How has it worked well for you when you've done that mix of positions?
So being really flexible is one of the secret sauces for all of us, right? And we get, you know, all set in our ways, and then that's just the recipe for the tsunami Kathe talks about. So being flexible and really, like, if you can develop your onboarding and your operations manuals that everyone works on what they like to do the best. You know, it's really old school to think we all have to be really good at everything. So when we went to high school, we had to be really good at everything. We had to be good at algebra and geometry and English and history, and some of us were good at one area and another. So I definitely, sometimes we'll just take a bunch of Post-it notes, stick them up on the wall, look, tear apart our jobs. We have a director packet that our directors have to do every day, and then they have certain matrices they complete less regularly. Maybe a licensing check is every week and a marketing kind of assessment every week. And so we might throw up all of those different job descriptions and everybody's name and sort of just grab what you want and see if they can create it themselves, which I love, as long as you're within what their skill set actually is. And then, but then say someone picks something that they're not that good at, then that tells me they want to be coached up on it. And that's, again, back to that career ladder and back to engaging the languages of appreciation. Oh my gosh, you want to learn QuickBooks? Holy moly, have I got a job for you. I would love to have you take that on. And now Miss So-and-so doesn't need to do it. Miss So-and-so can take on doing the promo items and ordering all the fun gear and swag for the staff. So win-win for everybody. I love it. And so my staff come to me a lot with that, like, hey, we've got a great idea. Maggie and Allison, they're probably on this right now, are trying to job share something. And I'm thinking, no, you're so good at this. And they're saying, no, but we want to try it this way. Will you please trust us to try it this way? And so the answer has to be yes. If you trust them and one of your core values is trust, you got to give a little bit of that control up.
That's the tough one. And it's a tough one when we have clients that want to grow, you know, because to let go of things when they've been successful because they've been very tightly managing their company. It's tough, but, you know, necessary. One more. I could listen to your wonderful energy all day long, but I will ask you to take one more, and then everyone else who asks questions, there are so many here and they're so fabulous, I'm having a hard time. We will get back to you individually and we'll not let your questions go unanswered, so no worries. You'll also get a survey immediately following the webinar, so please ask anything else that you have there. We'd love to be a resource for you guys. So last question, do you think it's best to hire a manager from within or from outside your company?
Oh my gosh, you guys are killing it with the questions. I mean, you're like PhD level. Oh my gosh. Okay, both. It's you just don't know. I like From Within in general because they know all about my program. They've already lived my core values. I've already seen what they can do. I already have all that trust in them. I want to grow their career, especially if we've been working on career ladder. Maybe they've gotten a CDA or they've finished their degree, or maybe they're just sick and tired of teaching pre-K and they want to try something different. I think that works really well. I also really like that as a director, they've been in a classroom, so they are so much more effective as directors or managers because they get what the teachers go through. On the other hand, I've hired a fabulous director a couple years ago from one of the bigger chains, and I thought, oh, I don't know. She's going to be super corporate for me. We're like in Charlottesville. We're a little, no. And oh my gosh, she killed it. And she brought me so many systems and so much sort of like 2 feet on the ground, like, nope, this is how we do it. And just that confidence that I've had great success with both. I think it really depends on the person. And I would just say go slowly on it and give them just a few things at a time before they actually totally take over whatever the admin or director position is. But that's a great question.
Yeah, it really is. And completely agree. It's hard enough to find great people. You want your current team to believe that they have the opportunity to grow in the company, but sometimes you just get that gem that shows up and you don't want to let go of that. Kathe, thank you so much for all of that. We have part 2. We did not intend this, but Kathe was away every time with her content. We have part 2 next month, July 19th. You guys can go to the website to pick up any. Thank you, Rachel. Great webinar, she says. We appreciate you being here. You can go back to hingebrokers.com and pick up any of the master classes from the last 4 years. We had a year on operational systems like accounts receivable and financial controls and tuition rates. We had a year on real estate. We had a year on valuation. And then, of course, this year, everything staffing. So go back. If you have any trouble with that or have questions, let us know. We hope to see you next month. We hope you'll register and join us in Boston. It'll be a lot of fun. And let us know.